226 players just competed for the largest prize pool in Lorcana history at the $8,000 tournament in Georgia. I finished in 4th place with a deck that completely took the field by surprise. Welcome to the Lorcana Castle. My name is Zach Bivens. Let's get into it. If you're looking for a deck that doesn't break the bank, then I've got good news for you. This entire 60 card deck list comes in at under $100 total, and it was on the cusp of winning the largest Lorcana tournament prize pool to date. To start off, there's 12 one-cost characters in here, because we really have to start the game off on the right foot. If you have a choice of which to play on turn 1, the correct choice is usually going to be Maleficent, as there's a number of common lines we're looking to take depending on our hand when we cast her on turn 1. Chernobog's Followers is an amazing card for this style of deck. Usually aggro decks play a lot of low willpower characters that just get taken out immediately, but with Chernobog's Followers, we can quest with them, then use his effect to replace himself with a card in our hand, instead of just going down for nothing. Olaf is our least used one-cost character, but he's important against decks that play Tinkerbell Giant Fairy or Grab Your Swords. We play 11 two-cost characters, and they all serve different roles. Snake protects our vulnerable characters. Whenever we quest with something like a Maleficent or a Pinocchio, we can just bounce it back to our hand instead of leaving it exerted and vulnerable. Smee is an amazing card from set 3. He quests for 2, he's inkable, and he has amazing stats. Oftentimes, if your opponent's trying to deal with him early, he's going to take out whatever character they attack with him. And if they don't deal with him, then we'll just bounce him back to our hand before he goes down from his effect, with either our snake or our fox. Pinocchio puts on insane pressure, and there's not much more that needs to be said about him. Arthur is an important card in this deck, but I'm very firm on not playing a lot of copies. You don't need him every game, and when you do, you only care about getting his effect off one time. It takes way too many resources for us to try to protect Arthur in here, because we would have to pay the ink to bounce him to our hand with a snake or a fox, and then play him back down, and then our opponent's probably just going to remove him anyways with something like a Madame Medusa. We don't have the luxury of protecting him on board, like a deck such as the Ruby Amethyst aggro deck, for example. They play for the foo and can ready him up on the board, so they're only paying 2 ink to protect him, whereas we would have to pay 5 or 6. So like I said, we just need his effect off once, and we do not want more than one Arthur in our hand. It's really going to clog up things. Fox is so good it's ridiculous. We use him to protect our characters such as Maleficent. We can quest with her and then bounce her back to hand. Then if we have more than 3 ink, that turn we're just going to put Maleficent back down. Fox gives us a little bit of a control element because he can rush in with 4 willpower, especially early on. That's basically going to clear everything. He also lets us draw cards by bouncing back our rabbits and our Maleficents. Fox is honestly candidate for one of the best cards in the entire game, if you ask me. 4 3-cost Maleficence is kind of self-explanatory. It replaces itself, which is just perfect for a deck like this. And then come the bodyguards. Hercules and Prince were so vital. Hercules is absolutely amazing in the Ruby Amethyst matchup because you can play him on turn 3, and then if your opponent rushes in with a fox, they have to deal with the Hercules, and Hercules takes the fox out with him. If on turn 3 your Ruby Amethyst opponent starts their turn with just a snake on the board, then they actually have no way of dealing with more than just Hercules. That protects the rest of your other characters. If they were to attack the Hercules with snake, then they wouldn't have anything to bounce back with fox. Hercules can also sing songs such as Strength of a Raging Fire, which is very key in some matchups, and then he does his job being exerted as a bodyguard. It's going to sound weird when I tell you that Hercules performs better in this deck, but I'm only playing 3 of him instead of the 4 of Prince. And that's because Prince is absolutely crucial in the Sapphire Steel matchup. During testing, I was having a lot of trouble when I was going second against that matchup, because now they not only have Captain Hook, they also have Mr. Smee on turn 2. But Prince really solved all the problems I was having. I actually feel very favored into that matchup now, whether I go first or second, because they have to hit both of their Captain Hook on 1, and then their Smee on turn 2. When they do get Hook and Mr. Smee, they have to use both to take out Prince, leaving the rest of our characters safe to quest again. And this also means they're not using their early game consistency cards such as Popsicle and Develop Your Brain. Merlin Goat is the perfect closer, and his 4-3 stat line offers some nice board presence. Merlin Rabbit makes sure that we never run out of gas, and is a perfect play to allow us to still put down threats, but not overcommit to where we would be vulnerable against cards like Be Prepared, because even if he's taken out immediately, he still draws the card back. Befuddle put in a ton of work. In games that you go first, you can play your 1 cost on turn 1, then on turn 2, befuddle their 1 cost back to their hand, and play a second 1 cost of your own. In games that you go second, and your opponent ends their second turn with only one character on the board, you can befuddle that back to their hand, such as the common Madam M snake play, and just completely take over the tempo of the game, gaining a lot of free lore in the beginning. Past your second turn, befuddle will mostly be used for ink, but the impact that it had during the early turns was well worth playing 4 copies of. Friends on the other side was not as good as I expected it to be. Clearly an amazing card, but with such a focus on getting to 20 lore as fast as possible, this deck doesn't offer as many opportunities to skip questing, to sing it, or to pay the 3 ink to play it outright. Strength of a Raging Fire felt really overpowered this weekend. It's so easy for us to get a wide board of characters. And then we can sing it with cards like Hercules or Prince, and then have the Bodyguard. We can use it after we've gotten the value out of Maleficent, out of Fox. I even did it a couple times with Arthur, believe. This card was huge against the Emerald Amethyst decks that I played against. It was great for taking out early Foxes and Snakes against Ruby Amethyst, and there were just games in general where I would strategically not quest for the first 3 or so turns to set up valuable Strength of a Raging Fire plays and then begin to take over from there. Spellbook helps you close out those long grindy games. It was certainly crucial to my success, but I wouldn't play a second copy of it because it's usually something I'm going to be delaying as long as possible. If I have a character in my hand that I think will safely get the quest off on the next turn, then I'll just usually prioritize that instead, meaning that Spellbook's going to sit in our hand for a long time, and we don't want 2 in our hand for that reason, but you definitely need the 1. I'll be honest with you, this deck may look simple, but there are some extremely complex lines that have to be followed based on the specific game and how your opponent attempts to deal with your characters. Every game situation is different, and it's hard to give exact advice for this deck, but I will cover some common scenarios while I talk about the mulligan. As with any deck, getting a proper mulligan is crucial. 1 cost Maleficent is the first card we are looking for so we can generate lore early and often. We don't want to quest with her though and just let her get taken out immediately. So I try to build my hand around protecting 1 cost Maleficent early. This can happen in a number of ways. Befuddle was generally the first card I consider keeping with Maleficent. And if we can do that, then keeping another 1 cost is ideal to combo with it on turn 2. If we go the Befuddle route, then we likely aren't playing a 2 cost on turn 2. So I'll probably throw those back. If we don't go the Befuddle route, then I'll keep Smee or Snake. Smee if I have other protection for my 1 cost, such as Hercules as a bodyguard or Fox to bounce her to hand on turn 3. But Snake if we don't have those, so we can quest and return her to hand. If we don't have Maleficent in our first 7, Chernobog's followers can be a decent keep, because we can quest and trade them off if need be for a new card in hand. Pinocchio is actually a late game card most of the time, because like I said, we're trying our best to protect our early game characters, and if we're playing with Maleficent and Pinocchio early, that can make that tough. He's also not very flexible because he's uninkable, so this is why I played 3 copies instead of 4. If we are paired against Sapphire Steel, then I prioritize getting as many prints in my hand early as I can. In basically all other matchups, I'd much prefer Hercules, Fox, or Arthur on turn 3. You have to be careful with prints because cards like Fox take them out for free, and Emerald has cards like Kit Cloudbreaker to send them right back to your hand and still a ton of tempo. Rabbit can be a good keep against Ruby Amethyst to keep your fuel going, but be careful keeping too many uninkables to start. Goat is always solid to round out a good hand, but if I need to be mulligan aggressively, then I'm happy to throw him back. I'm not generally keeping Strength of a Raging Fire, but if my hand looks like it's going to allow me to play towards getting a ton of value out of it, then it can be very, very strong. Against the Emerald decks, it's important not to keep any songs, and if you draw one, I'll ink it like on turn 1 so that Ursula can't discard it. That covers the basics of mulliganing with this deck. With such a low curve, it's really not that difficult after you've done it a few times, but let's see the mulligan and some gameplay in action. Alright, so it looks like we got a Mufasa matchup. This one will be interesting. So 1, 2, 3. We'll probably. I just wish it was more flexible with the ink ability. We're just gonna keep them, but I don't love it, just because we're trying to really get out to the races in this matchup. And he's got the queen. Let's chuck the Chernobog. Go Olaf and end it here. Hope he doesn't have the shift queen. He inks it. Does he have another one, or does he just not care? Yeah, lantern's probably better. And he might have another one anyways. You never know. Alright, so we definitely have to quest. We just have to go for it. Ink this. We're going to go with this for now. He definitely won't stock if he has it. 4. What's he got for 4? Oh, he's just playing it cheaper. Okay, so if we draw into Fox, we can just run it into Queen, but we don't love that. We just have to watch out for a Rapunzel draw. You can tell he's a little... Yeah, nice. He was scared to kill that. Sweet. I think we ink. We kind of need a draw with this, the way this hand's shaping up. But Fox is a pseudo draw. So slap this down. He could go Rapunzel next turn, but he'd only get 1 off of it. No. Yeah, he'd only get 1. Yeah, we don't care. Though we do need something to survive. So Fox is a pseudo draw card. You saw Ink Maleficent. Maleficent draws from the top. If you think about it, Fox is kind of like a draw as well, because you're picking up something, but that's saving it. That's adding a card to your hand that would have been dead otherwise. So Fox adding Olaf to my hand is the same as if I drew an Olaf with the Maleficent. Right, so we know we're questing, we're bouncing, we're foxing into Peter Pan. We're slapping Olaf back down. Yeah, this is a really good turn. Fox into Arthur. Fox kills Pan. Then we get rid of this, because not likely that we have the time to cast it here. Then next turn we can slap down Arthur Pinocchio, and if he doesn't answer it, we win. Very nice, very nice. A deck usually doesn't play Be Prepared, but some play like 1 or 2 copies. That's mainly what we have. Oh, he didn't go to 6 ink, so we're good. I think we just win now. So I'm not even gonna waste any time. We're going with this, inking this, playing this, and unless they play Teeth or something, they're just kind of screwed, I think, because we can go up by 6 just right here. 7 or 7, depending on what we draw. No, I think we're always playing. Well, we'll see. Good trade for him. Queen is just so much better set 4 than it was set 3. Gains so much new utility. Definitely in a better spot. I was hard against Queen last set because it helped you when you went first, but not when you went second. Now that really hurts. What are we supposed to do now? I think it's Pinocchio, right? That sucks. Okay, we can, next turn we can go, we can gain 5, and the following turn, we got to think long term here. Long term. Man, I don't have time to think long term, unfortunately. My gut's telling me get rid of Arthur, to be honest with you. Probably should have followed my gut, but let's see. So we're going +5 basically this turn, but we're leaving without any. Okay, we can just bounce Arthur if we want, but then it gets rid of our goat, which sucks. He's gonna kill my goat, or my Arthur. Next turn, we hate getting rid of the goat here. We could go up by 2 next turn with that. If we wanted to make us 17, he has to deal with this, where he would only be able to quest 2, 4. He can quest 6. And go to 11. Yeah, I don't love this. I really don't love this. If we... It only puts us to 16, but then we threaten Arthur. But if he kills Arthur, we're just dead. But if we go goat, snake next turn, that puts us to 17. Following turn, 18, 19, 20. But then we'd have to draw something to ink. Yeah, we'd have to have... That's not going to work. This sucks. Not thrilled about this, but he is down lower on cards. I don't think it worked if we went snake goat, unless we got really lucky. This way it forces him to have the answer for Arthur. Does he have game next turn though? Yeah, he does. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, he does. That sucks. So we got to kill... Man, that hurts. So we had no choice but to kill that, right? Yeah, it looks like it. Then we ink this, slap down Arthur, slap down book, go 16. All right, yeah, we played this really well. Made it to where he has to top deck the answer here. If he doesn't, then all we need is any character. Just show me what the card is, man. Don't do it to me. Don't do it. Please don't kill my Arthur. All right, we just need any character. Yeah, baby, we did it. We played it perfectly. We thought long term, and it ended up working. Well played. Okay, looks like we're against the Emerald Steel deck. It's one of our tougher matchups for sure. I would say it's the second toughest behind Amber Steel. So if he goes Robin Hood on 1, we'll take that. We're just going to get rid of the songs because of Ursula. Rabbit's solid, but I don't think I need it right now in this matchup, in the opening hand. Okay, so we know we're going to go with a 1 cost. Befuddle and another 1 cost probably. We're going to get rid of Snake here. And I'm going to go Olaf. I don't think it really matters. All right, we're going to go Olaf and pass. Next turn, we're probably inking this to deny Ursula, discarding it. Definitely seen this name a few times. So I'm pretty sure they're good. So Emerald Steel is actually the only deck I took a loss to in the 8K until I got to top 4. Beat every other deck I played, except for my one Emerald Steel opponent. Yeah, there's just 1 cost. Okay, so doing this. We're going to ink this like we said. So Ursula can't discard it because we really need all of our cards right now. Then play that. Chernobog Follower is just such an awesome card for this deck. He's going to die anyway, so we can just get rid of him and draw a card from it. But we'll keep him on the board as long as we think that it's safe to do so. Now he inks that Robin Hood. Interesting. And the Bucky comes down, the dreaded Bucky. Rabbits are really good against this deck late game. Okay, so we're going to ink this. You know he's not going to want to trade his Bucky into Chernobog Followers. Yeah, we've got a lot going for us. He's not going to trade that into it. If he does, awesome. But he's not going to, so we're going to keep him on board. And there's not a 3-cost Floodborn that he could play here since we got rid of his Robin Hood. Against a discard deck, you're going to try to mostly play to the board, if that makes sense. All the resources you get, you're either going to ink or try to just slap them on the board immediately so that they can't be discarded. Of course, you have to watch out for things like grab your sword or whatever, but you can diversify your threats, like with 3 health, low health, different things to make it tough on them to really deal with everything at the same time. And here's the kit. Cool. Okay, so we want some ink here, so we're gonna do this and try to get some ink. What do we get? All right, we'll take it. And then Olaf can survive Kit. Mr. Smee, he'll trade with Kit if we need to, which we don't care about. And we're gonna run these out. We could have played Rabbit to draw a card, but this just puts such incredible early game pressure on him here. And kind of want to get the value out of this before Tinkerbell's live. Now if he, yeah, there's not a lot he can do. He can play Jafar and make us discard a Rabbit, which would hurt for sure. Okay, that's totally cool. But it's going to hit, yeah, hits Arthur every time there. Which stinks because we wanted to use that to bounce back our Maleficent, so I have to reconsider. I think we just do the same play. And because of the possibility of grab your sword, we're going to go ahead and get the value here since we have to play another one down. And we've already got 10 lore from our first 3 turns of characters. So we're halfway there. Probably has another beast making us discard a Rabbit here, which hurts. But oh well. That's why we didn't want to keep them in our early hand, because we're not necessarily looking to go into it until a little bit later into the game. Yeah, that's really good for him. Dealt with my Arthur both turns. That hurts, but and he has to trade a Bucky. Yeah, that's smart. But we're going to be at 13 here. Rabbit. Nothing we can play, so it's not great. We're just going to ink it. Oh, no, we actually don't have to ink it because he got rid of his Bucky. So I'd love to not have to quest with this, but with my hand and with the deck he's playing, it's too dangerous not to. Yeah, we could sing with Rabbit next turn. I think it's fine to keep this here. If he had Bucky on board still, I would have inked it because it would just go to the trash, but it's likely that it survives now, and we'll have to consider singing it with Rabbit. Really need to close out this game because the longer it goes in this matchup, just the more favored they will get. Morph, okay. Interesting. He's playing a Prince John version. Don't think he's going to send Beast into Olaf. Yeah, makes sense that he didn't. And this is tricky because we want to get as much lore as we can. We'd rather quest with Rabbit, but definitely better play to do this. Don't want to, yeah, we're just going to ink the Befuddle, so it's a pretty good draw. An ink and a 3-cost character. Now we have the decision if we, yeah, I think it's, okay, hang on. If we play Prince, he would have to trade, he'd have to send a Beast into it and Kit, yeah, and then Kit. Then he would have Morph for nothing. We know we're playing Smee. Do we bodyguard our Prince or do we keep it upright? Let's see. All right, if we don't bodyguard, then you can go Beast into one of these two, Kit into both of those, or whatever, into both of those. You can go Prince into it. Not Prince, Prince John. So really interesting. If he only has 1 card, he's going to have 3. All right, if we bodyguard, does it protects one of our characters maybe? I'm just going to leave him up. Okay, I clicked the wrong thing. Whatever. Stupid. I meant to not bodyguard him, but oh well. Not a huge deal, I don't think. We'll find out. Okay, he's putting the pressure on me now. Makes sense. He's trying to close the game before I do. Yeah, that really hurts. But he can't. Well, let's see what his last card is. At this time, with what's on his board, he can't deal with my prince. Gosh, that hurts so bad. Yeah, he's going to win this game long term, it looks like. We need something big. He should not kill my rabbit. If you're killing something, it should be Olaf. All right. Give me a 2 cost, please, or a 1. That sucks. We have to sing it. And we'll play out the Semi. And we could kill his kit. And that seems decent. Or we can quest go to 15. He could send both of these into my guy. I think I'm just gonna... Man, that's so tough. The kit allows him to sing. He's drawing 2 cards. He could sing with that anyways. Don't... Man, this is a tough situation. If I kill Kit, then long term it seems better to kill Kit, but it's not really going to be super long term here. Robin Hood doesn't mean anything. Flynn Rider doesn't mean anything. I really don't like playing this card in that deck. It's pretty meaningless. Sure, it can be decent turn 1. Yeah, I just don't think that card's worth the inclusion in the deck. As you see, it's a horrible top deck late game. It's not even really necessary on turn 1 most of the time. And you have Robin Hood anyways. Yeah, I just don't think Flynn Rider's good in that deck. The 1 cost. I think this one's very good because it helps you close out games fast at the end. And he's Floodborn. But I don't think you need this. And you have Morph if you want to shift anyways. But you're not really shifting. You only cost 4. You just mostly got to play him out late game. Sheesh. Okay, so we're pretty safe then. Wow, so he... that was awesome. I would have thought for sure he would have sent Prince John into it. But I guess he's planning to win next turn somehow. But he's not questing with that, so no, he's not. I think we just win the game now. Yeah, we literally just win the game now. He is playing way too passive. You got to make difficult decisions against this deck, and they didn't do it. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the deck. Like I said, it's super, super budget friendly. Don't have to play all these expensive legendaries to compete. I literally took 4th place out of 226 players at an $8,000 tournament with a deck that costs like $60 or something like that. So yeah, it's really about how you play the cards, not necessarily breaking the bank. The deck might look pretty simple, but is actually pretty complex. Lots of different things you can do. But in the future, hope to dive even deeper, give you much more Mulligan guides, different specific lines and stuff like that. So it's definitely coming in the future. We'll get there. But in the meantime, thanks for the support. Really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you again soon.